good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you all, wherever you may be in the world today. My name is Troy Franklin. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of World Franchise Associates, and I'd like to welcome you to this 15th edition of the Tuesday webinar series titled Low Cost Franchises. This Tuesday webinar series is organized by the Franchise Talk in association with the global franchise market, and is supported by Index Conferences and Exhibitions, a leading conference organizer, or the leading conference organizer in the UAE. For today's webinar, I'll be the moderator and the first speaker, and I'm joined by two franchise industry professionals, starting with Katharina Manalo, the General Manager of Philippine-based Potato Corner, and Joe Manuzak, the VP of International Franchise Development for US-based KimDry. Our webinar agenda is as follows. I'll complete this introduction, speak a bit about low-cost franchises and show you some examples. I'll pass it over to Katharina. She'll introduce you to Potato Corner as a low-cost franchise opportunity for the UAE and the Middle East, GCC and broader Middle East. And then we'll pass it over to Joe, and Joe will introduce his group, which is Belfour Franchise Group, and the KimDry franchise opportunity. And that should take 45 to 50 minutes. And at the end of the webinar, we'll have a Q&A session for the final 10 to 15 minutes of the webinar. And you can pass your questions through to the admin team who's supporting us. They'll send them to me, and I'll read the questions out, and we'll decide whether Katharina, Joe, or myself will answer those questions. So let me talk a little bit about low-cost franchises. I'll start with the types of low-cost franchises. When we say low-cost, another choice of words might be affordable. These franchises can come from the different sectors of the franchise industry, including both F&B and services. And low-cost franchises typically require a smaller real estate footprint or operate using a mobile or non-brick-and-mortar method or mode. What are some of the advantages of investing in a low-cost franchise? You have reduced CapEx per outlet. So it doesn't necessarily mean your initial capital and pre-operating costs will be less, but your outlay to build your franchise business, be it outlets or mobile businesses, would typically be much less. Low-cost franchises are typically easier to operate. They require less manpower and particularly less skilled manpower. And they typically work using a master franchise model, work well using a master franchise model, as the lower CapEx per franchise and the less complicated business format typically broadens the number of potential sub-franchise candidates that you can offer your franchise to in your respective markets. So just to give you some context, in the context of international franchising, we're talking about master franchises and area development opportunities that brands have a low cost, with brands that have a low cost operating model. So the presenters that are going to follow me and the brands that we're going to talk about are looking for people to bring their low cost franchise model to a country as a master franchisee or area developer, and then expand and focus on market penetration in the country. If you're attending this webinar and you're looking just for a single unit of a low-cost franchise, my advice is that you look in your own home market, whether it's a UAE or another country, and find somebody that's already operating a local franchise or an international franchise that's already operating in your country that is selling sub-franchises. But for the purposes of this presentation, we're focusing on master franchise and area development opportunities exclusively for countries. Just to share some examples of low-cost franchises, I mentioned earlier that they can come from the F&B sector or the services sector. Here are a few examples of low-cost F&B franchises. On the left is Island Fin Poke. It's a Hawaiian-style poke bar from the U.S. Operates in a small footprint, low equipment, low staff requirement format, food courts, small hole-in-the-wall shops, transit, airports, subways, etc. In the center, you see a company called Mary Mango. This is a Philippine mango dessert brand which operates using a kiosk model and very small footprint kiosk, and only a couple of people needed to operate it. The third brand on the right is a company called Pezzo, Pizza by the Slice. This is a company owned by a group that operates multiple brands in Singapore. And again, Pezzo operates in a small footprint, grab and go type of format across many locations across the island nation of Singapore. All of these brands are actively seeking partners in the UAE and the Middle East. A few more food brands. These are all Filipino food brands. You've got Citrus Zone, which is a kiosk concept offering fresh pressed lemonades. Again, a very small footprint, low capex, low labor operation. We've got Lost Bread, which is a dessert concept. Again, small footprint, low capex model. This specializes in desserts, shakes, and soft serve ice cream, shakes, and French toast. And then third, we've got Faron Cafe, which is a frappe concept that sells a variety of different frappes at prices which are super competitive compared to the international brands operating in the same space. Again, a kiosk model, small footprint. And all of these brands are operating multiple units across the Philippines, and all are looking for qualified and capable partners across the Middle East, master franchisees or area developers. Moving on to some service brands, low-cost service-related brands. You can find service-related brands across all spectrums of service that operate under low cost. One example is Mathnasium Math Learning Center from the U.S. It's a brand that effectively has very little capex in terms of the center and the classrooms. Basically, the main sign, the branding, and then offices with desks, chairs, and computers, but not a big capital outlay. And they also have a fairly significant virtual element of their business, which has grown even more during the pandemic. The next brand is No H2O. This is a waterless car wash, and you can see in this picture that is a No H2O franchise operation. And you can see there's, other than the equipment and the tent covering or the roofing, there's very little fixed assets or equipment involved in this business. The third business is called Gym Guys. It's the #1 home personal training franchise, fitness training franchise in the U.S., expanding internationally. Again, doesn't need a lot of people. A lot of their franchises could be defined as a man in a van. So the person that's driving the van is actually the franchisee for a specified geographical area. And this business is doing very well in the US and expanding now internationally. A few other examples. We have Canadian Tourism and Hospitality, which is a Canadian Filipino business which teaches tourism and hospitality skills. Again, it's a low startup, low cost franchise because there's not a lot of equipment involved. Basically some renovations to an office space that then can be used to teach the classes. JMac is Australia's leading equipment hygiene service franchise, the second brand you see here. Again, this is a man in the van type of franchise. The demand for hygiene and hygiene services since the pandemic has grown at a alarming rate, and franchises like JMac and other franchises in this sector have benefited from that. There's a very high demand for these services in Australia and internationally. And the final brand here is Blow Blow Dry Bar. And in the context of hair and beauty, the reason this is a low-cost franchise is that they focus on a very simple set of services, and they require a smaller footprint. As you can see from this picture, less skilled labor in terms of stylists, and in fact less equipment, and so therefore the capex is and the operating costs are lower. And this brand is growing very rapidly in the U.S. And as with all the other brands in this presentation, is looking for master franchisees and area developers across the UAE and the greater Middle East and North Africa region. So those are some of the brands that we represent that are categorized as low cost. And Potato Corner, which you're going to hear from later, and Chem-Dry, we also represent their low-cost franchises, and you'll hear from their representatives about the unique elements of those two brands in great detail. My company is called World Franchise Associates. We're a leading franchise sales, marketing, and development company based out of London. We have offices in strategic markets and directors and shareholders living around the world. And we support both franchisors and prospective franchisees and help bring brands and franchisees together. If you're interested about the brands we represent, we have a portal called the World Franchise Center. Potato Corner, Chem-Dry, and all the brands in my presentation are listed on the World Franchise Center, along with another 180 over brands across food and hospitality, services, retail, fitness, health and beauty, low-cost franchises, etc. Before I wrap up and hand it over to Katrina, I also want to tell you about the upcoming Global Franchise Market Franchise Expo, which is being held on the 15th and 16th of November at the Dubai World Trade Center in downtown Dubai. For all of you who have joined us who have an interest in franchising, whether as a franchisor who wants to exhibit, or as a franchisee or prospective franchisee, or a franchise industry stakeholder who has interest in franchising, I highly recommend you attend this event if your travel and availability allows. From my experience, it's the premier franchising event in the Middle East region, and certainly worth the time and effort to attend. Again, if your availability and travel allows. That's it for me. I'd like to thank you for giving me the chance to present and moderate this portion of the webinar. And on that note, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce a fantastic client and a very smart lady who runs a very interesting F&B franchise. And I'll hand it over to you, Katrina, and I'll log out and let you do your thing. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you, Troy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll start my presentation with Potato Corner. So I'll start my video.
Potato Corner has been the industry leader for flavored fries. It's stuck to the core of people that it's the best flavored fries in the industry. Currently, we have been shaking the world for the past 25 years. Our vision is to increase our market presence in the international market for the next 5 years. One of the key success factors of Potato Corner is actually the ability to adapt and be flexible in each territory. One example is adaptation of local palates. So there are very unique flavors for each territory. And we are also proud of our business partnerships in each region, and we look forward in creating the brand more stronger and better.
Tumrip Sawar.
Apa kabar?
Oh, hi, Ryan.
أهلاً وسهلاً.
Hey, สวัสดีครับ
I went to Thailand and then I saw Potato Corner over there and then I tasted and I fell in love with the flavor and the taste.
I love more about Potato Corner is the strong flavor and a strong taste.
Whenever I eat Potato Corner, I always remember those days I spent with my two younger brothers back in their childhood.
It's something that really everyone can eat, everyone can enjoy together, and it's really something that's universal and accessible.
In Hong Kong, they tend to be more intimidated by big bowl flavors. They tend to gravitate more towards nuanced flavors.
In Kuwait, we love food. We love fries especially.
We also introduce a lot of new flavors which are fit for locals.
And more importantly, you have to be quick and responsive and agile in responding to those differences.
Chili barbecue. That's good. 1, 2.
Muối Pì.
The Jojo's sour cream. Ooh, nice one.
It's a truffle and it's awesome.
Chili barbecue flavor. Yummy.
It's my all-time favorite cheese.
As the first franchisee of Potato Corner, I was so proud because I can make it grow and part of the big group.
It is a very good price for the high quality of product.
Quality equals sustainability. If you want to be a sustainable brand in the long run, you've got to value and prioritize quality.
We have the support in marketing, we have the support in manuals and guidance.
Some come literally every day. We serve from like 5-year-old kids to 80-year-old grandpa.
Potato Corner has been around for 25 years. There's no reason why it can go on for the next 25 years.
We have great products, we have great flavors, we have great tasting food. I mean, so what's not to love about it?
Terima kasih Potato Corner.
Koisai, Dojasai.
شكراً.
ขอบคุณครับ
Agon.
Salamat.
So that video is our testimonial of the different franchises that we have in different countries. So it was validated by our franchisees from Indonesia, Cambodia, Hong Kong, Thailand, how easy it is to operate a Potato Corner store. So I'll walk you through about the brand history and the different products and services that we have. Also the different store formats that we offer the international market. So currently, we have been shaking the world for the past 28 years. We started Potato Corner in 1992. So we are selling this flavored French fries. So we're very much known for our cheese, barbecue, chili barbecue, and sour cream flavors. So it all started with this very simple cart in Manila in 1992. And since the founders were very entrepreneurial in spirit, they started franchising in 1993 already. So as you all know, after 5 years, we already have more than 100 stores. And as mentioned by Troy a while ago, we are very much acclaimed in the Philippines as a Hall of Famer brand when it comes to franchising. We received the Franchise of the Year award, we received the President's Award. And just last year, we received 2 awards from the ASEAN Business Awards for Growth since we have been expanding in the region exponentially despite the pandemic. So I'll share with you the different products and that we have for the different markets. So we are known for our flavored French fries. So we have 4 core flavors. We have cheese, barbecue, chili barbecue, and sour cream. And across the years, when we decided to expand our menu, we decided to add more flavors and different specialty flavors in each region. So some of the flavors that we have launched are curry, wasabi fries, sweet corn, truffle fries. And we have more than 25 flavors in one of our stores. We have seafood, we have kimchi, rancho cheddar. And when we locate in new markets like Canada, Australia, and Thailand, we try to localize the taste depending on the local taste palette. So example of these flavors are, for Canada, we have ketchup, we have dill pickle, we have smoky barbecue, we have salt and vinegar. And for Australia, we have chipmite and salt and vinegar. And for Thailand, this is one of the most creative country that we have. So we have shrimp paste flavor, we have tom yum, some of the flavors that we've launched throughout the years. Also, aside from the flavors that we've expanded throughout our operations, we have different specialty potatoes. So we have waffle fries, we have Jojo chips, smileys, loopies, hash browns, sweet potatoes, and mini fries and potato chips. Aside from the potatoes and flavors for Potato Corner, we have actually transformed the brand into more of a snack player in the global market. So right now, looking at this menu offering is we have new offerings for chicken. So we have wrap and roll in Canada. We have chicken pops. So these are small like chicken popcorns. We have chicken wings, and also we have chicken skin. Aside from all of this new product development, I just want to highlight that some of these NPDs are actually suggested by our partners. So we really value collaboration and flexibility when it comes to our offering. So if ever there will be new territories where we want to put Potato Corner in, we put value in the suggestions of our partners or franchisees when it comes to new product development. Also for beverages, we have the Boba Brew. So this is a hybrid of a coffee and milk tea, which is very famous now. We have lychee soda, we have rose lemonade, lime soda, and flavored teas. And then we also have popcorns. So we have flavored popcorns and the caramelized popcorns. One of our territories has actually launched burgers as part of their combo. So when we launched the burgers in Australia, Australians are known to be eaters of burgers, and they are accustomed to eating fries with chicken or a burger. So that's why we decided to put burgers as part of our menu to really address the need for the local market. And then other snacks that we offer are, we have the chicharon, so this is pork rind. We have onion rings, we have fish fingers, we have corn dogs, and also we have onion rings. So these are the different sizes that we have. So whenever we enter a market, some just actually sell the jumbo from the Terra. Some would actually put large. So it depends which sizes you would like to offer to the market. And just to share, currently we have over 1,300 stores worldwide. As mentioned by Troy, we have been expanding aggressively for the past years. And just to share, these are just the different global presence that we have. Currently, we are present in North and South America. For North America, we are present in Canada. We have 6 stores. In the USA, we have 37 stores. In South America, we have 1 store in Panama. Currently, for the GCC, we have 6 stores in Saudi Arabia, and we have 7 stores in Australia. Concentration of our operations is actually in the ASEAN region. So if you'll notice, we have over 1,100 stores in the Philippines. We have 2 stores in Hong Kong. We have 67 stores in Thailand, 7 stores in Myanmar, and 8 stores in Cambodia. Indonesia, 101 stores, and Singapore, 12 stores. You will notice a while ago, our franchisees, they are really a mixture of characters. So they are young entrepreneurs, actually, who would like to venture into new partnerships. That's why with this seminar, I hope you could get inquiries when you would like to expand your brand. So from July to August, just sharing with you, these are the pipeline of store opening that we have. Last year, it was the pandemic. Everyone was closing shop, right-sizing their operations. But Potato Corner, we continue to expand. We opened close to 80 stores in the Philippines, and we opened 26 new stores in the international market. We opened a new territory in British Columbia in Canada. And this year, for the international market, we opened 21 new stores. And we're looking at opening 15 more stores for the last quarter of the year. And we've opened 2 new territories as of date. So we opened Calgary in Canada and also Perth in Australia. The next 2 weeks, we're looking at opening New Zealand and also in Winnipeg in Canada. So these are just some of the store opening pipeline that we have for the last quarter of the year. So as mentioned a while ago by Troy, when you look at low cost franchisees, it comes in different sizes and shapes. So in the case of Potato Corner, we're very happy to share we have different store formats that are very flexible and that are smaller in footprint compared to big QSR players. So this standard cart comes from 4 to 6 SQM. This kiosk is 4 to 7 SQM. And this inline store is 9 to 15 SQM, and inline with dining is 18 or 25 SQM or more. So we're very happy that whenever we expand in new markets, these are the different store formats that our franchisees look at when they expand. I'll be sharing with you the different pictures of the different stores that we have in different regions. So these are the different store designs that we have. So this is an inline with seating in Thailand. This is in Don Muang Airport. For Indonesia, whenever we locate in areas where there are a lot of kids, we try to make the store more creative, more fun, more eye candy for them. So this is like a small jeep in Indonesia. This is our store in Jewel Changi Airport. So some of our stores in Singapore, Hong Kong, we have street front locations. In Philippines, we have the Potato Corner Lab where we have more than 25 flavors in this store. This is our store in the USA, Indonesia, and also our recent store in Perth, Australia. So our store in Cambodia are bigger, so they have seating. If we would like to offer stores that can actually accommodate seating capacity, we are open to that option. So this is our store in Saudi Arabia. This is our recent store opening in Canada in Chinook in Calgary. This is our store in Panama. And as mentioned by Troy a while ago, as a low-cost franchise can be a small store or it can be a mobile truck. So we have a food truck that's operating in New South Wales in Australia. And this is our store in Myanmar. So also for the concept stores, we actually have an evolution of stores. So number one, we have a typical Potato Corner store, what you've seen a while ago. And right now, one of our brand strategy is to really do collaborations with local players. So example is partnering with local milk tea players or any beverage player which are complementary to the brand. So that's the reason why there can be a Potato Corner Plus. And then we have the Potato Corner Lab. So if a territory decides to have a lab, it's more like a test kitchen for them to test new product development, launching of unique flavors and unique products to the market. So just to share, this is a list of mall operators wherein we have locations. So it means that Potato Corner is very compliant when it comes to design guidelines. We have the right equipment to operate in your malls. So these are global mall operators. So we have CF, Cadillac Fairview in Canada. We have the Westfield. We have Aeon Mall. This is actually a big conglomerate in Japan. So we have the Central Group from Thailand. So these are just some of the list of mall partnerships that we have globally. And then for franchise support, as mentioned a while ago by our franchisees, really value franchise support when it comes to ensuring the success of our partners, because this will be a partnership between the franchisor and the franchisee. So number one, we provide operational support to our partners. So it can be categorized in 4 levels. So we have pre, work, and post-opening support to the territory. We provide training right now. So it's a good thing that Potato Corner is a very easy concept to operate. So we provide LMS and we provide online training to our partners. We provide quality management as part of standardization of our operating procedures. And we provide operations and systems manual to guide our franchisees. Next is global supply chain management. Number one, we're very happy to share that we have a list of accredited global partners in different regions that we operate in. Second is having that halal certification, which is very critical for some countries where we want to open. And then number 3 is having that global leverage when we do pricing negotiations to our partners. And then research and development. So when we do research and development, it actually encompasses 5 aspects. So number 1, potato products, chicken, beverage, flavors, and other snack items. So as mentioned a while ago, we are doing a lot of R&D in our HQ, and we put value in the suggestions of our partners. That's why when we do a lot of business reviews and alignment meetings with them, we ask what are the current market trends, what is happening in their local region, what works for them. So that's why we can incorporate them in our menu. And then, of course, marketing support. So right now, we provide a marketing calendar to our partners. So being a new player in the market, we want to put our presence in different social medias and then having a global marketing campaign. So these are example, National Fries Day and different local festivities that you actually celebrate in your region. Then number 3 is we actually have a 3-month social media management support. So our team will be handling your social media to guide you what are the different items that you need to post to create attraction in the market. And then lastly, why Potato Corner? So there are only 3 reasons why you would partner with Potato Corner as a venture for partnership. Is number 1, we're a global, fun, and innovative brand. So if you will see number 1, we are global. We are present in 12 countries. We are expanding in new markets this year. We are fun. There are a lot of new items in our menu, very innovative. We value flexibility and creativity with our partners. Then number 2, franchise support. So we want to ensure your success. That's why we're giving out the best franchise support that we can give to our partners. And then number 3 is ease of operation. So you price, flavors, putting them together. So very easy to operate. So that ends my presentation. And if you have any inquiries, as mentioned by Troy, you can message him, you can message me, you can email us. This is my contact details. We'll be waiting for you and we're excited to answer your inquiries. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katrina. That was well done. And I think that your presentation shows that Potato Corner is a perfect example of the F&B low-cost franchise model that I spoke about at the beginning of the webinar. What I'd like to do now is introduce Mr. Joseph Hanusak, and he will take 15 to 20 minutes to introduce you to Kimdry and the group that he represents, which operates multiple brands in this services segment. So greetings, Joe. Great to have you with us, and over to you, sir.
Thanks very much, Troy. Martin, very much appreciate your ability to let me be here to present today. I'd like to present Kimdry today. I'd like to go a little sidestep here. Kimdry is one of the 11 corporations that is owned by the Belfour Franchise Group. Kimdry has been around since 1977, and what they do well is cleaning. Cleaning is not sexy like potatoes, and I do wish we had a few of those here, but I would like to introduce you to what Kimdry is. And so right now what we do very well is we clean people's homes in their offices. In a COVID environment, we've done very well. To go ahead and not have a recession where most businesses were closed down, Kimdry was operating. Currently, we're in about 3,500 franchises worldwide, and we're in just a little over 57 countries, knocking on 60 right now. The average day, we clean 11,000 businesses and homes. And my average franchisee has been with us for 17 years. We're one of the top 75 franchises in the world. And actually, 2 out of the last 4 years, we were honored with Franchise of the Year by Global Franchise Magazine. We're also ranked #1 in our category. And what does Kimdry do that's different? Well, first of all, we do is we don't use a lot of water, and we use carbonated water, which then allows the dirt to break away from the fibers and allows it to come back out, and then we can extract it. The nice thing about that is it has a dry time of 1 to 2 hours, not 1 to 2 days. You don't have to worry about black mold, especially in heavy other markets. One thing regarding research and development, we've created over 50 products that are green. May not mean a lot today in Indonesia, may not mean much in Vietnam, may not be much in Angola, but the rest of the world, Europe is really pushing this hard, New Zealand, and this is one of the things that we're very proud of is our ability to be researched and certified to have over 50 of our products that are going to be green and environmentally friendly. So what does ChemDry do? Well, we talked about COVID a few minutes ago, and if you looked at when we clean upholstery, when we clean floors, when we clean tile, when we clean countertops, we come in there with category 2, category 3 suits. We remove 99% of allergens, 99% of odors, and 98.4% of bacteria. We actually have a product that we can spray, and it kills COVID for up to 15 days. And this way, we can actually make your work environment safe. So currently, the carpet market is about $5 billion in sales in America. And we notice that we're able to have a strong repeat customer because A, of our green products, and B, because of the fact that we're an affordable franchise, where the equipment and the solutions with the van is a very easy cost to come in there and start operating. The good news also is we have lots of support that we can offer to you. We have coaching and support. We have marketing in America. We have support if you have any equipment issues almost in every continent except Antarctica, that you could call one of our fellow franchisees and say, hey, I'm having a problem with this piece of equipment, or this carpet I've never seen before, or I've never seen this stain before. And these are things we like to look at. So what is our formula? What do we do? What's our revenue? Everything from stone and tile, countertop, polishing, wood floor cleaning, sanitizing. We are your cleaning agent. As a before and after some pictures, you can see how the tile there had grout that was discolored, and you can see carpet that was discolored. You can see what we can do to leather. Now, this isn't anything other than straight good chemistry that we're doing, which is how we got the name ChemDry on chemistry, not chemicals. As you can see in the countertop polishing, you can see in the leather polishing, you can see in our upholstery. So normally I would be able to give you a quick little video here and show you what this does. We can actually, on the left here, you can go to YouTube when we have more time, and you can see we'll put lipstick, we can put a Sharpie pen, nail polish, and wine on a piece of carpet. And then right before your eyes, we'll take what our products are and we'll immediately remove those stains. We'll immediately get that out. So in the UAE, we used to have a franchise there. They retired, which is why we're here today. And they used to have a vehicle that would go around with a little kit and do nothing but remove stains out of the hotel's carpets. We're very proud of that. We're looking forward to having people back in the UAE. We have a quick start program where we go ahead and we do pre-training with the franchisee online before they actually go into a hands-on program. We have a business coach, which can actually meet with them once a month or frequently if they need to. And we have online programs where any of our courses, any of our learning seminars, you can go online and you can review this. They're all in English, but we also can give you the program itself to put any language cover on top of there. So you can actually do the wording in your local language, and you can do the overlay in the language itself on Vocal. So as we talked about the pre-training, the training itself, and the post-training are all things that we offer, and we do not charge for any training classes whatsoever. The reason we do this is we want experts in the field. So we also have the gateway we talked about there. If you look, there's ChemDry University. We have marketing resources. There's over 1 million files on this gateway for marketing. So if you have something in your market, all you have to do is go in there, change the skin, and you have the same beautiful layout. You don't have to have a designer come over there and work on this, because immediately you can now run with our product with just your different types of overlay. And if you have any questions on equipment, or you want to know when the conventions are, to look at the account, you can place orders. Everything is done online for the ease of the franchisee. The reason being is we want your attention and focus in the field. We don't want your attention and focus on how to create a whole new business model. We created the business model for you. We want you to run with it and run with it professionally and run with it well. And if you look here, these are some of the different marketing materials that you can download. And as we said, you can, all the graphics are going to be there, and you could easily change the English into any language you want under InDesign. So why digital is the way to go. And so the only cost that we really see that you would take outside of the initial aspects of it is going to be Google clicks, search engine optimization. And we really want you to make sure that you're the electronic owner of your marketplace. And if you are, every time someone goes online and types in sanitizing, cleaning, whatever, your name will pop up first. And that's what we want to work on. These are just some of the programs that we work on when we work with you in the field, and we walk with you and we say, this is what we're looking for, our digital marketing, our websites. We give you all of this to go ahead and be successful, because we already created the formula. We don't need you to recreate it. We need you following through in the field. And here's some of the national advertising, whether you want to target women, you want to target holidays, whatever you want, we have all of this online for you. This is all just gives you some more information that you can send out. And SEO is where we really think it's going to be. Domino's Pizza was a company I used to work for. And when we first started off, we were known as a pizza company. Overall, they became known as a digital company because now you can order online, you can order on your watch, you can order on phone. We learned at Domino's how to do things a different way, which was to go ahead and engage the customer digitally. We've done the same thing here at Harris Research, which is the Build for Franchise Group. And we really look to target the Google, really look to target the marketplace to make sure your SEO is the #1 rated on the marketplace. So what we do also is we do national advertising. So we get on the shows in New York, the shows in Los Angeles, and we show the people new products that we're rolling out every year. We strongly believe in public relations, and that is what you can do best in your marketplace, is get on this. And they say if a picture paints 1,000 words, we're knowing that a video is going to paint 1,000,000, and then that video is going to produced on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, is going to produce 1 trillion different words. And that's what we want you to do, is we want you to be exposed. Some of the companies that we do globally, you can see them here. We do all of the main restaurants for cleaning, for sanitizing. We do most of the telecommunication companies. We do jewelry store chains. We do embassies around the world. Our people are very proud of what they do. We give them a lot of latitude to be out in the field and be creative. We want them to be strong, but we want them to own their market share. As we said earlier, we have the College of Technicians, we have the College for CSRs, we have College for Trainers, everything on this course that your people can take to become the best that they can be. Some of the football coaches we heard in America and in England say that, well, we want you to do is that when you're on the field, giving it your 100%. And that's what we want to do, is we want to train you so you can work easy, but train hard. We also want to have you meet our fellow franchisees. We'd like you to come to periodically to the conventions. And the reason for that is you can challenge ideas, change ideas. You can go ahead and learn about different things that could work and may not work in your market and help extrapolate them. We want you to be visible. Our franchise fees here are different. Some of these are master franchise, some of these are local franchises. So don't get nervous when you see these we're the #1 affordable franchise in our territory. We look at a long-term strategy. We've been around 40 years. We have 10-year agreements. So we want you to be around a long time. We have a strong brand, over 55 countries and 3,500 franchises globally right now. So what we would do is we complete an NDA with Martin or with Troy. We would then go to a Zoom discussion for the next step. We would talk to some of our other masters and or franchisees globally. You would then meet with me, a couple of yous, review the contracts, and then we would move forward. It's a very simple process to work with both Troy and with Martin, and we're very happy to have that. And at this point, we'd like to say thank you very much. I do appreciate the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Joe. Well done. We appreciate your introduction to KimDry, and I think that it's a perfect example of how of another low-cost franchise operating in a completely different sector from Katerina's brand Potato Corner. What we would like to do now for the participants is, Joe, if you want to switch back on, I've got some questions. And I'll read the questions out and then assign them to either myself or one of Katerina or you, Joe, Joseph, and we'll seek to answer the questions that the webinar participants have raised. Does that sound okay to you two?
Yes.
Excellent. Joe, maybe I'll put the first question to you. The question is, with all of the elements of your ChemDry system and your support, your university and the like, does a potential master franchisee or area developer need to have any pre-existing cleaning experience, and what are you looking for in a franchisee or area developer?
Great question, and thanks for asking. The answer is no. We're not looking for someone who's either been in the food business or been in the cleaning business. We're looking for people who are entrepreneurs, people who say two words or two questions: why and why not? Why can't I get into that hotel? Why can't I go ahead and have my business here? Why can't I do this? These are the people who are going to challenge both the local market and growing. Franchising didn't become who we are by just having a set business model. McDonald's learned how to do a filet of fish sandwich because the franchisees pushed them. We look forward to people who could push us, who can ask us hard questions, help us find ways to get our costs down, help us better ways to go ahead and be advertising, help us find better ways we can do social media. So without question, no, I mean, you do not need to be in this market. We're just looking for a couple simple things. Are you a business person? Do you understand how to make money, how to go ahead and take care of your people, how to pay your bills? Do you know how to get money in the event that you have a hiccup? Can you go to the bank? Do you know how to go somewhere? That way to make sure that you never have any impediments to operating your business. And the last thing is, do you know how to go ahead and be successful? If you've had 3 business failures, I'm going to be a little cautious. But if you look at things and you're saying, I want to get out of a corporate life, I've had great success in corporate, then we're here to support you and we're here to work with you. Thanks, Troy.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe. Katrina, a question for you and Potato Corner. If someone were to take the franchise for Potato Corner in a country like UAE, how long would it typically take them to take you to provide them with the initial pre-opening support leading up to and getting the initial Potato Corner outlet open in the market? And what would they expect? What would they be able to expect during that formative time in the development of the brand in the market?
Yeah, Troy, probably I'll share with you what are what's a typical process for us. So usually it's a 3-month process for the franchisee selection. So this is the time we're in. We get to know the franchisee. We get the application. They send out the business plan presentation to us. We ask questions. What's their plan with the brand? So that's the NDA application form. So it's more of really getting to know how their capability to expand the brand and how our partnership can work. Because entering into a franchise is like marriage. So you get to choose your partner for a long time. As much as you want to have a divorce, we don't want to have that divorce. So we want to ensure that when we select a partner, it's the right partner for us. So we want to have, like what Joe mentioned a while ago, having that entrepreneurial mindset. We want that person having that brand vision. So that 3 months will be about closing the deal, signing the franchise agreements, and then another 3 months that will set up the supply chain and opening up the first store. So typically it will be around 6 months for you to operate a Potato Corner store, from franchisee selection to pre-opening and opening support.
Excellent, very, very clear. Thank you, Katrina. There's another question which I will answer, and the question is, what is the advantage in acquiring a low-cost franchise versus using my limited capital to start up my own low-cost business? And I think this is a very relevant question, not just to low-cost franchising, but to any franchise segment in any sector at any cost. And the reality is that when you invest in a franchise, whether it's a low-cost franchise or otherwise, you're investing in something that has been tried and tested and established, which includes both successes along the journey and failures. And and by the time you get to the point where you're investing in the franchise, they've learned from the failures and have a very stable business model which generates a reasonable return and is competitive. The risk of starting your own business from scratch, even if you have experience in the field, is that you're building a name and a product from the ground up, and you'll have to learn the hard way and make your own failures and successes. So there's certainly nothing wrong with an entrepreneur starting a new business, but if you're risk adverse and you're looking for what's generally considered by the business world a safer path, I believe franchising provides that safer path. And you certainly, if you look at Katrina's presentation and Joe's presentation, there's a big focus on relationships. There's a big focus on support, training support, development support, operational support, marketing support. And if you start something on your own, certainly you won't be able to avail of the support from these proven industry experts. Another question for you, Joe, is about your brand and your exposure in the region, the Middle East, North Africa region. Has your brand been tried and tested? I know you showed us you had quite a bit of a big global footprint. Maybe you can speak to the footprint in the Middle East, the GCC, UAE, and broader Middle East, and how you're doing there for our audience.
Thank you very much, Troy. We've been enjoying the ability to do business in the GCC for over 30 years. Our master franchisee in both Saudi Arabia and UAE both just retired this past year. And unfortunately, our master franchisee in Egypt passed away suddenly, unexpectedly. So we do have 3 openings. We've been in those markets, UAE and Saudi Arabia, for over 30 years each. We're currently doing very well in Bahrain, Qatar, and Kuwait. Kuwait is probably our shining star in the GCC. We are very happy with the presentations, what they do there for sanitizing, working with people's businesses and homes, the corporate aspect, the B2B, the B2C. I'm doing very well in, as I said, all the 3 markets there. But we're looking forward to this webinar to help us get back in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, which are markets that we enjoyed for 30 plus years. We were very saddened to see our franchisees retire. They chose to retire. Their children didn't want the business, which we were kind of taken back, but we're looking forward to get back there with the help of Troy and with Martin. So thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe. Katrina, a question for you relating to your business model and your in your presentation you mentioned your performance during the pandemic and your pipeline. What has allowed Potato Corner to continue to thrive in the Philippines and elsewhere during this challenging time, when many other F&B concepts have suffered or have had to consolidate?
Troy, I think the main reason why we thrive is, number one, the pandemic became a catalyst for us to transform our business operations as a whole. So we were operating with this mindset previously. So when the pandemic came, everything came fast forward, like what your plans in the next 5 years came all at the same time. So it was a good opportunity for us, number one, to transform our business operations when it comes to, number one, the menu management, expanding to new markets. So we have to be very flexible. As mentioned by Joe a while ago, you want people who are entrepreneurs, right? Who want to be their own boss. So we gave a lot of concessions to our franchisees because they are the lifeblood of Potato Corner. So number one, we ensure that we give out royalty concessions. And also number two, to continue the entrepreneurial spirit in the Philippines and other markets, there was no franchise fee. So some people may think Potato Corner is crazy, but we are crazy in the Philippines. So last year when pandemic came, we did not get any franchise fee. So anyone can franchise Potato Corner. For the international markets, we are offering flexible opportunities to different interested partners. So as mentioned by Troy, it can be an area developer, and I think that's a starting point, and then the master franchise route. So these are very flexible models wherein some QSR players are looking for master franchisees already. So for us, it can be an area developer. And also looking at the business model of Potato Corner, the transformation came also with the store offering. Instead of French fries is a universal snack. So now we're putting a lot of snacks in our stores, making it more like a mini QSR instead of having an 80 SQM to 120 SQM store that sells burgers, chicken, etc. Now we're operating at 25 SQM with all of these items inside the store. So I think in terms of the menu, the new store formats that we have, and of course our franchises, these are very critical for us. That's why despite COVID, we're very happy. We're continually thriving in our expansion. So those are the reasons why we're currently aggressively exploring new markets as we speak. Sorry.
Very good. Thank you, Katrina. We've been surprisingly good about timing today, and we're been perfectly on schedule, which is not always the case with these webinars. So thanks to both Joe and Katrina for helping me keep this organized. I think maybe we've got 3 minutes left. Joe, I invite you to say any final words you'd like to say to an audience that might be interested in your Kim Dry franchise opportunity in the countries that you've mentioned. Katrina, when Joe is finished, if you want to take a minute and have a final word, and then I'll wrap up.
I would just like to say thank you for your time, Troy, for arranging this. And like to say that if anyone would like to go on YouTube, type in Kim Dry, and you can see what we do and what we do best. You can see the everyday action of our franchisees around the world. You can type in your country, whether it's Qatar, it's going to be Bahrain, and you're going to see our people around the world being very proud of what they do. We'd invite you, if you're interested, to go to the YouTube, then talk to Troy afterwards. But we're looking forward to having entrepreneurs who are wanting to be successful, be part of a proven brand, and have something that people want to have done, which is cleaning, and to be for safety with the COVID aspect. We look forward to your responses, any of you, and in answering your questions either afterwards or via email through Troy. Thank you so much.
Kat?
Okay, so thank you so much for arranging this, Troy and Martin. It was a good opportunity for us to tell our story around the world. So if ever there are interested parties in EMEA, we would like to expand our global footprint in the GCC area. So territories that are open are Bahrain, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman, Egypt. So just send us a message. We would like to hear from you, and we would like to shake in your country and open Potato Corner soon. So, thank you so much.
Excellent. So to all of the participants, wherever you may be in the world, I hope that you've enjoyed and gotten value out of our webinar. I think that Katrina and Joseph have given you a very good introduction to two brands which are dramatically different in what they are about and what they offer, but both very successful and market leaders in their categories that represent fantastic low investment franchise opportunities in the Middle East, and would be great franchise opportunities even if they weren't low cost opportunities because of their years of success, proven business model, and capability. We'd be happy to help you with either Potato Corner or Kim Dry. You can contact myself, anyone in my World Franchise Associates team, or Katrina and Joseph directly, or even members of the Index team who have organized this Tuesday webinar, and they can put you in touch with us. Again, it's been a great pleasure to be with you today. I would like to just end on a final note of recommending that anyone that is a franchise industry stakeholder, whether a brand or a someone that is interested in acquiring a franchise, that wants to learn more about franchising and get involved in franchising, don't forget about the Global Franchise Market Franchise Expo taking place at the Dubai World Trade Center in Dubai, UAE on 15-16 November 2021. I'm sure the team at Index and TGFM will do a great job hosting you and supporting you if you decide to either join the event as an exhibitor or come in as a visitor. So once again, Katrina, Joe, and the team at Tuesday Webinars and Index, thank you. And to our audience, thank you, and have a good day, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be in the world. Cheers.